Hey everyone, this is Kevin, your entrepreneur, and the California Supreme Court has spoken. We are not independent contractors. We are employees if you drive Uber and Lyft. This is a big one, folks. This is a very, very, very big one. According to ARS Technica, the California Supreme Court has ruled that it will now be harder for employees to formally classify their workers as independent contractors rather than employees. The court's Monday opinion in Dynamex versus Superior Court of Los Angeles County could have a profound impact on many tech companies like Uber, Lyft, Instacart, and others that provide on-demand services. Dynamex is a courier and delivery company based in Kent, Washington. The overwhelming majority of gig economy workers are not employees, and so they do not get any health, retirement, unemployment, or other benefits that typically come with full-time employment. Uber, for example, uses the euphemism driver partners when referring to its non-employee drivers who constitute the backbone of the company's service. The court found, although in some circumstances classification as independent contractor may be advantageous to workers as well as to a business, the risk that workers who should be treated as employees may be inappropriately misclassified as independent contractors is significant in light of the potentially substantial economic incentives that a business may have in mischaracterizing some workers as independent contractors. Such incentives include the unfair competitive advantage the business may obtain over competitors that properly classify similar workers as employees and that thereby assume the fiscal and other responsibilities and burdens that an employer owes to its employees. Whew. Numerous employment law experts that ARS spoke with said that the new opinion could end up being a movement of reckoning for Silicon Valley. Among those we spoke to is Shannon Liz Reardon. Oh, God, I haven't heard from her in a while. A Boston-based labor lawyer who has brought numerous cases against Uber, Grubhub, and others. Yeah, and you always settle them way below what they should be. The drivers get screwed. Like, Shannon, you're just as bad as Uber. Quote, the test will provide much stronger worker protections and make it extremely difficult for companies to classify their workforce as independent contractors, as many employees have been trying to do, and unfortunately many courts have allowed them to get away with it. Under this test, if the work is performed within the usual course of the company's business, the worker is an employee. Byron Goldstein, an Oklahoma-based attorney who has brought cases against startups over labor issues, agreed. Quote, there are many tech companies cheating the law of their workers and their competitors because they misclassify their workers. Because this decision provides clarity regarding whether a worker is an employee, those companies should understand that they do not get a free pass merely because they write software, which is all Uber does. Uber doesn't actually make anything. They write software. Excuse me, folks. Prior to this ruling, Goldstein continued, there was a narrow test relying on a 1989 California Supreme Court precedent in the case known as Borrello. Now, businesses cannot simply say that any or all their workers are contractors with a wave of a hand, or a relevant clause buried in their contracts. The court found the companies can only do so if they meet certain requirements, and these are the requirements they need to meet. A, the worker is free from the control and direction of the hiring entity in connection with the performance of the work, both under the contract for the performance of the work, and in fact, B, that the worker performs work that is outside the usual course of the hiring entity's business, and C, that the worker is customarily engaged in an independently established trade, occupation, or business. The worker should be considered an employee and hiring business or employer under the suffer or permit to work under standard and wage orders. So, yeah, all of that. Or put another way, as Goldstein added, Uber's business is providing rides, so it is now harder for Uber and other companies to manipulate classifications or otherwise evade those long-standing California worker protections, such as a requirement that a worker get paid minimum wage for each hour that is worked. And I believe that Uber and Lyft drivers should be making at least minimum wage every hour. It doesn't matter how many rides they're doing. If they get one ride in the hour, boom, they should have been making minimum wage. That's how it should have been for... Heck, that's kind of how it started. Why did it ever go away? Similarly, Michael Leroy, a professor of labor law at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, told ARS that the new ruling likely will raise costs for tech firms. Well, so what? So what? You know what? Some of these tech firms make so much money that they're really not going to be affected too much. And I know that's not very Republican of me to say or whatever, but you know what? If Uber is bringing in $20 billion a month and they can't make it profitable, then they're doing something wrong. They just need to get out of that business then. Quote, it's hard to see Uber sticking around to bear these new costs. Over time, they might consider withdrawing from this immense market and become more focused on international markets with huge populations and far less regulation. Uber and other companies continue to face numerous losses of wages. And I agree with that. Uber will probably leave California. But here's the thing. As it was proven in Texas, if there is a business for something, a market for it, another company will come in. Maybe Juno finally expands. Maybe Bounce moves out from San Diego. Maybe someone else who's developing an app, maybe they get their time to shine. Because the thing is, this is a big market. Transportation is huge at this point, and for the first time it was shown that you could make real money doing it. Now you have to, worry about some regulations. Well, okay, so what? There will be a company that will work with those regulations and they will make money. It's not like this is some market that all of a sudden got completely closed. It just has to be done a different way. Miriam Cherry, a labor law professor at St. Louis University, emailed ARS to say that this new opinion would stir things up in these ongoing cases. Quote, many of the cases have been in settlement negotiations for some time, but there are going to be new workers who are not bound by those settlement agreements who might bring cases, and this change in the law will only strengthen their position. Uber did not immediately respond to ARS requests for comment. Hi there, we are still reviewing the decision, emailed Lyft spokesperson Alexandra Lamana. So anyway, that's it. California Supreme Court has laid out some rules that says we are employees and not independent contractors. Some people might be saying, well, Kevin, I guess you got what you want. No, not really. I wanted to stay an independent contractor. I think everybody wanted to stay an independent contractor. I truly do. But I need to keep explaining this to people. If we really wanted to be an independent contractor, why were we hoping for unionization? Why were we hoping for worker status? And I tell people the same answer every time. Uber and Lyft wouldn't listen. We asked them to be treated fairly. We begged them to be treated fairly. We got on our knees and we cried, Uber, Lyft, make this right. We aren't asking much. We are like some people were asking for unemployment and holiday and stuff, which I never asked for because as an independent contractor, I know I'm not entitled to it. But hey, if most people are making $20, $30 an hour on average, as opposed to $7.55 an hour, well, there's certain things we might concede for that. On making $30 an hour and we can work whenever we want, that sounds great. It used to be that way. Why did it stop? Why did Uber and Lyft have to get it to the rock bottom and keep it there for 3 years? We begged Uber and Lyft, do this right. We are your partners in theory. Help us, or else you are giving us no choice. We have to go to the government and ask them to make a ruling. And Uber over and over and over again said, try us, go to the government. And then Uber did the worst thing ever. They announced they were making a new experience for the drivers, something that would help us. And they didn't even address the rates. The number one thing that people lose sleep over, the thing that people have been committing suicide over, the rates, they didn't even address them. At that point, and I saw it in the comments and the live chat, people were done with Uber. Didn't matter how bad the government would be, didn't matter if the government could kill these jobs. They wanted Uber to suffer. We all wanted Uber to suffer. We would take any opportunity we could have. If there was anything that could get Uber to pay us better, we would take it. It didn't matter if it screwed us in the long run. We were willing to take that chance. Now, I guess we're going to see what's going to happen. What will happen? I don't know. We're going to have to see how this plays out, but I don't think Uber and Lyft can run from it much longer. Sorry. In a couple months, we're either going to get paid better, we might have more rigorous schedules, or Uber and Lyft will simply leave. I still think there are things they can do to keep their independent contractor status. They can let us know what we're going to make on the trip up front. They can let us know the whole detail, like exactly where the pickup is and exactly where it's going, exactly how long it's going to take. And of course, we can rapidify our cars if we want, and Uber can't say anything. You put those three things in, maybe they can keep the independent contractor status with us. But the days of Uber dictating how much we earn, when we work, well, not when we work, but where we work and all that jazz, that's going to come to an end. That's going to come to an end, and we'll see if Uber will want to put up with it. But what about you folks? What do you think about this? Are you happy? Are you sad? I'm sure this is going to just ignite a lot of conversation. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy the videos I make, consider becoming a Patreon member for $1 a month. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.